Colleagues, namaste. Hope you're all doing well wherever you are joining from. Depending on that, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I feel privileged to be part of this August gathering and to share the platform with Professor T.V. Rao, a friend, guide, and mentor for many generations of students worldwide. I am sure you will have a lot of takeaways and takeaway messages from today's session. Let me set the tone and scene for Dr. Rao's practice-oriented talk on disinfection and sterilization in healthcare. The topic has relevance to our pandemic times when common man to healthcare professional, everyone is confused about right cleaning and disinfection practices. Cleaning, disinfection, and sterilization are key to containing outbreaks, and they have never been more important than it is right now when we are going through so-called second wave of COVID-19 pandemic. Fundamentally, the concept and importance of disinfection and sterilization hasn't changed. However, the impact of SARS-CoV-2 pandemic on today's world makes it imperative to change how the healthcare community conducts proper cleaning, disinfection, and sterilization. It all starts with a mindset because healthcare and lives depend on it. How we do it based on the available time, our setting, the staffing levels, the experience of the people who are working in that particular setting, and of course, the training. That is what is going to happen today. Although we cannot call it as a formal training, but it is imparting the experience and knowledge which is supposed to raise the bar of the people. Now, looking back for hundreds of years, we sought ways to prevent the spread of infections. As you all know, the history of cleaning and disinfection is a fascinating story that dates back thousands of years ago when Egyptians started using wine or vinegar to clean. Although somewhat archaic and sometimes toxic elements like sulfur, mercury were used in initial days of the history of disinfection for achieving clean spaces, little was known back then about microorganisms. It was the thought that if you could see the chemical working through smoke or a coating on a surface, then it was thought that it is killing the causative agent of the disease. Antony van Leeuwenhoek, I'm sure most of the microbiologists would recognize this name. He was a Dutch businessman and scientist. He has discovered the microorganisms in 1675, and it was a breakthrough in cleaning and disinfection. His subsequent discovery that vinegar killed some of these microorganisms have helped scientists to realize unseen organisms could be capable of causing disease, especially the infection. And in turn, chemicals could potentially kill these organisms without a visible reaction to the eye. That is what it is all about, the modern antiseptics and disinfectants. This particular discovery has opened the door for many more inventions and unlimited research in the study of use of chemicals to kill microorganisms on a variety of surfaces, instruments, settings, etc., etc. When we talk about disinfectants, we usually classify them into chemical, physical, and biological. While physical and biological have a role to play, the chemicals have played a revolutionary role in shaping disinfection and sterilization practices. Bleach probably was one of the first targeted disinfectant after vinegar. In 5000 BC, it was used as an agent to whiten cloths and other linens by the Egyptians. In 1847, a bleach derivative, that is chlorinated lime, was introduced as hand disinfectant agent at the Vienna Medical Center by Dr. Semmelweis to help reduce the risk of postpartum women who developed childbed fever, which is that time about 80% of the mortality. After introducing this chlorinated lime, the mortality has drastically come down by almost 90% within a month, which has that time was considered as a miracle. Since the turn of 20th century, more complex disinfectant technologies have been engineered, and many of which are still in use today. A variety of phenols, quaternary ammonium compounds, iodine compounds, aldehydes, oxygen-releasing agents, alcohols, and many other chemical components and compounds were developed. Benzalkonium is one of the first commercially successful molecule, which was introduced in 1935. And probably soon it is going to celebrate a centenary. Even today, it is remaining a gold standard as far as disinfection and antisepsis is concerned. Today, there are many disinfectants that can be safely used in healthcare settings. Though some of these have been proven to be effective at killing pathogens, they also often carry a toll on users, surfaces, and the environment. For example, an aldehyde disinfectant may be extremely effective at achieving the acquired or required log reduction and kill claims, but may be harmful to healthcare workers who are working in that setting and also for probably the environment. So every healthcare facility must decide what is best for their facility. The institutions and infection prevention professionals had to make their choices based on the risk assessment. This is a very, very important word, a risk assessment of their facility. Usually, what happens is a lot of infection preventionists and administrators, they go for cut and paste of disinfection and sterilization policy from another institution, which probably has no correlation to your institution. So that kind of cut and paste policies may prove in most of the times very counterproductive. We need to do thorough homework about which chemicals, which instruments, which equipment, which sterilization equipment are optimal for our facility in terms of efficiency and economy. You always had to look for manufacturers who are compliant with good manufacturing processes, quality management systems, and most importantly, who can assure uninterrupted supplies even during crises like pandemic or other calamities. An ideal disinfectant should be safe, efficacious, and environment friendly. Achieving a perfect balance between efficacy and safety is super critical. As we all know, anything in excess is not desirable. The recent pandemic has shown the tendency to abuse the use of disinfectants. You all have probably witnessed so-called disinfectant tunnels, which is a best example of the misuse of disinfectants, which probably have done and caused more damage than helping the situation. The world is already grappling with a huge antimicrobial resistance, and this is going into almost a crisis. And improper use of antiseptics and disinfectants and sterilants may aggravate the situation with resistance to biocides also, in addition to the resistance to antimicrobial agents like antibiotics. So without further wasting time, let me hand over the stage to Dr. Rao. Dr. Rao, is a very well-known microbiologist and infection preventionist. He has 4 decades of teaching experience, and he had been the member of various associations. He was a former professor and HOD Department of Microbiology, the Travancore Medical College. He is the member and associate and advisor to Elsevier Research based out of Netherlands. He is a member editorial board of Kerala University of Health Sciences. He is the chair of ethical committee and the scientific reviewer for Agesia Medical College, Kollam, Kerala. He is the chairperson and scientific advisor to Vivekananda Institute, Vyasa University, Bangalore, in collaboration with many American and European universities. While these are only a few nuggets about him, the most important thing is both online and offline, he has millions of followers. Probably it would not be an exaggeration if I say that Dr. Rao is one of the topmost people who do the education of generations of people through online. You can actually just look at internet and type TV Rao, and you would find many presentations which he has prepared selflessly to inspire and also to teach millions of microbiologists and infection preventionists worldwide. With those few words, let me hand over to Dr. Rao, and I am as eager as you are to listen to the Guru. And Dr. Rao, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind this one. And I will be taking a topic on sterilization, disinfection in the healthcare. Principles and practice. You see a picture below. The world spent more equal money or more money than our own food in the recent epidemic, and most of them are chemicals only. It is left and right, we are using the chemicals. Today we thought that we will more emphasize a tribute to Simil Willis, established with the high maternal mortality was due to failure of doctors to wash the hands, and already Dr. Reddy told that it is reduced by 90%. What William Osler said is soap, water, and common sense are the best disinfectants. I think I just want to tell you about the origin of the soap. Soap has been made use of it before even thousands of years, where there was a butchery and they are killing the animals, and the animal fat is flowing into a river, where with the soponification with some ashes, the surrounding area became disinfected, and the people were using for a good purpose all the water. So soap is the oldest, one of the oldest known chemical agent which has been available to many. Why we need sterilization is a mere question. Whenever you do, the microorganisms capable of causing infection are constantly present in the environment. And I just want to tell you, human body contains 10 times more microbes than our own cells. That is 10 to the power of the cells in the body. You take liver, brain, everything, we have 10 to the power of 3. but we are occupied by 10 to the power of 4. You can just imagine how many billions of bacteria we are harboring, but still we are living because they are all helping. Microorganisms are responsible for the contamination of the infection. That is one of the basic things which we have to know anybody. The aim of the sterilization and disinfection is to remove or destroy them from materials or from the surfaces. This is the entire process of whatever you use a sunlight or you use a chemical or any physical thing. This is the purpose. The program file was made with a new thinking. Now a new thinking is coming. There is so much of wrong information is being created in the science. There is an organization in this one, Graham Media. So I became also a member of that society. You also can become, because so much of fake information is being shared in the world. Suppose whether a pregnant woman can take a vaccine or not, because the people with the pharmaceutical interest may say it is safe, but somebody has to decide. This is the one thing which is going into this one. I don't want to go into trust index. Next, please. Principles and practice of sterilization and disinfection. See, what are the sterilization? We have got fungi, bacteria, virus, protozoa in prions. I'm not dealing with the prions. That is only specific circumstances. Spore forms. This is the most important. So greatest visitors to our hospital with everyone is there. You know why we are using still a formaldehyde, not like unlike. See, many people do not wear shoes. They walk on the road with the chappals, but nobody washes the legs when come to the hospital. So the hospital becomes the great way for the most of the sports. Still, we need a great attention still to control any of these spore-bearing organisms. See, this is one of the very good state. See, this will make you to realize what is more important in a hospital. If you take bed rails, they are the most infected with the vancomycin resistant, like chair and all these things. These charts help us to how to choose an antiseptic agent or a chemical agent to do it. And it also means that if it is more plus and all are there into this thing, we have to pay more attention. Cleaning, practicing hygiene is the first priority before sterilization. All items must be cleaned using water with detergents or enzymatic. Cleaning reduces the big burden and removes the foreign material. You go to a good hospital, most of the times a attender is doing this type of work when the person is going, not that one. And all, suppose if they are going to do clean with even with a small soap water and all, it will reduce a lot of bacteria and you can save much of the lives and also the chemicals. Methods of sterilization. I don't want to go into the basic methods. Every basic, even a BSc graduate or a science graduate knows. There are two things which are important is the physical method and the radiation. We are not doing much, and chemical methods and gaseous methods. Suppose if you take in Kerala, many hospitals have this gas plasma sterilization when the workload is very high. Suppose if they want to sterilize 30 endoscopes and run in within 2 to 3 hours or 4 hours, the best is the gaseous method. That is still a very expensive machine, costs about 5 to 6 lakhs. I am not going. I will be going into this one. Factors influencing strength of the killing agent, time that agent has to act, temperature, environment, and the type of the microbe. This is the science which you have to teach to the people, infection control people, because you cannot apply the same principle everywhere, whatever it is there and all. It differs from place to place. See, the person is, suppose if you take side walls, this person is cleaning. It does not need much cleaning every day, but what is needed is the things near to the patient. So we have to have a priority. How can micro kill? This is what is the most principle on this one is mainly for the science graduates also. Denaturation of the proteins, wet heat, ethylene oxide, oxidation, filtration, interpretation, interruption of the DNA synthesis, repair, interference with the protein synthesis, bleaching, disruption of the cell membrane, all work with the interchangeable policies, and there is a lot of synonyms and also there is a lot of confusion also arises here. What is good? Because this is also carries a lot of commercial interest. One person says this literature, I have got it, but I will be talking only about few things which I am familiar. I don't want to experiment with my internet knowledge. Terminology: sterilization, a process that destroys all viable microbes, including the virus and endos. Please remember, many people talk, are you sterilized your hands? No, it is impossible to sterilize the hand. Next is disinfection, a process to destroy vegetative pathogens, not endospores, inanimate objects. Antiseptics, suppose this is applied directly to the exposed body surfaces. Sanitization, see, suppose if I say I cleaned my hands first, I used a disinfectant, and I also clean now to the next performance with my hands. Disinfection versus sterilization. Sterilization is absolute, removes microbes, spores to achieve sterilization is expensive, not sustainable, many times not needed. However, is exactly hand washing is an example where I am going to disinfect and I can never sterilize my hand. That means whatever the bacteria which are there on my hand, I am making it less and less so that there is no harm to the patient. Physical methods already told. Let's go next. And pasteurization, I will just, and all the definitions are already been told. Next. So physical methods, moist heat, you find the autoclave. Suppose the most important, there is no hospital without an autoclave, even for more than hundreds of years. And whatever the pressure cooker you have in the house, you can still use it. It is also working under this one. So there are so many people, when you go to a developing country where you don't have the big autoclaves, in a small, these pressure cookers are donated from the Western countries to many hospitals in Africa. Just within the not complicated process, if they have still a little gas or on a wooden burner, they can do it. See, physical methods of this one. Pasteurization is, see, the morning you get with a bed coffee, everything is related to the pasteurization of the milk. All of you are knowing that we get all the milk by the pasteurization with the flash method. That is very familiar to all our medical students and everything and all. See, I want to tell you, if you take about 40 years back, there are some wrestlers, bodybuilders, they were taking the milk without boiling. Ultimately, many people are getting affected with the bovine tuberculosis. It from the animal to the human beings. So people, instead of becoming more strong with taking a raw milk, they became more infected with the bovis tuberculosis. And also with the good pasteurizing techniques, the incidence of the bovine tuberculosis has become very, very reduced now. See, all this autoclave, once again, these are all the autoclave models. I don't want to just, I will go into the next place. And this is what is happens and all these things. There was a question to me, how you sterilize the prions and all these things, like they even up to 130 degrees, they withstand a temperature. So this is how you should operate an autoclave. There are principles of using an autoclave, and more temperature you have, more advantages, and also at the same disadvantages. Ideally, you know that it is a very good graph. This is one of the classification. All the people, when they are appearing for examination, they are all taught what is a Spalding question is a question for many technical students. How you sterilize critical, semi-critical, non-critical, and all these things. So whenever you choose a chemical substance or a physical method, you have to give the priority. Suppose if you see an instrument you are going to introduce into an abdomen or a surgical, this one, you need a very good amount of this one. Suppose, see, body cavity, if you are going to into this. Suppose if you are, suppose on a non-critical, that means you just on the hand, semi-casual washing, when you are changing from one patient to another, you just do a contact precautions you take. See, what is the most people to take? I am just thinking this topic is taken into consideration. Many practitioners, maybe doctors may be there in this one. They may be running a small nursing home. They cannot afford to have many autoclaves and all these things. And that is also need a technician, lot of cost. Now, our Indian health sector is 90% is mainly dependent on this one. And every doctor should know how much contact time, physiochemical environment, presence of organic material, temperature, type of microorganisms. See, please remember the most important point is the third one. Whatever the instrument used on the patient, first you have to clean it first. then you have to take the organic material out from that one. Suppose if you are not going to clean the instrument and put 100 times the powerful chemical, it is now used at all. Suppose an instrument is soiled with a mucous membrane or some saliva or with a sputum or with some material, that has to be washed before, because it forms a film and it will not enter. Next, and we have to create a stand. Suppose a doctor want to start a small nursing home, he has to create standard operating procedures. This has been recommended by all the developing countries. So what the technician must do, it is, there are all the 7 principles they created. They must be very careful about it. Next, please. Sterilization of materials, uses of sterilization, not this thing. And there is no industry in the world which do not need a sterilization. Even cloth industry, you take a food industry, everything. Now, most of the things are the packed foods. Now the packed foods, if there is going to be one infection into that one, like a Clostridium infection and all, botulism and all, they can kill the people instantaneously. That you can, suppose a ship is sailing for about 4 months. That means they already have the food worth for about 4 months. So the what are all the foods they take, and they have to certify that that foods which they are using, they are also this. There is no industry where there is no microbiology and where there is no sterilization. You take from a swimming pool. Now there is a lot of noise from cities that they want the people to be open the swimming pools in the time of COVID, after the COVID. Suppose the next question will ask, if some 10 people are swimming in that water with the past COVID, what will be the chance? These are the questions which are arising, which will be taken as questions. Ideal sterilization, highly efficacious, rapidly active, strong permeability, material compatibility. And I wish to tell, and the last word is very important for the developing countries, cost effectiveness. This is all. Whenever you buy a thing to the hospital, particularly if you go to any public institution, they will ask for the cheapest quotation. There compromises everything. So the last one compromises the quality of things, which we are not here to discuss on this matter. So most resistant, endospores, mycobacteria, fungal spores. So recently black fungus was there. There are a lot of questions to me about using the instruments and all these things. These fungal spores are difficult to this one, but we can use the chemicals. And suppose somebody see these spores will disappear if you are going to clean properly the instruments, what I told, even a small disinfectant. So we don't need a very good, suppose black fungus has come. It is because of the immunity less of the person and some complications he is developing. It is not that he cannot undergo or he cannot undergo. And next is enveloped viruses. These are all very important. You see that hepatitis B is one of the resistant, and hepatitis C also. Actually, the science of this, all this thing has much developed after the AIDS, 1990 onwards. That last week also I told universal precautions. Suppose if you are using an instrument with a soaked with the blood, we do not know whether or this and all. We need a proper cleaning. Even a cleaning with the soap, the best to destroy the things. Sporicidal agents, glutaraldehyde, formaldehyde, other aldehyde, chlorine releasing agents, iodine, iodophores, so many, ethylene oxide. See, Dr. Rangareddy told there are so many controversies about this formaldehyde. If you read the Western literature, they say it is not at all safe to use. But if you go to the hospitals in the country, 90% of the people still, they are not got rid of these two chemicals. One is glutaraldehyde, another is formaldehyde. Wherever you go, they will sterilize. If you go to a hospital, even in the best hospitals in Kerala, they use formaldehyde as a fumigation. When they construct the operation theater, when they repair and all these things. We will be going into it a little. Next, please. How sterilization works, I already told. Disinfection, procedure of reducing or eliminating living pathogenic micro or on air materials. So they're no longer. You go to a hospital, you take a vaccine or you take anything, they will give, just rub the site with that particular this thing. See, this is what is there is. I just want to tell, I used to teach all the nursing students also in the past. So it is okay, injection, this thing. Particularly, you just rub it with some alcohol and immediately you prick no use, and you just wait for 20 seconds. It has to evaporate and it has to take its own action. It's not a rapid fire. And particularly one great mischief or ignorance they will do is, you go to a hospital, even many times in local place, I go there, they will rub my forearm for taking the blood for sugar estimation, and they will tie a tourniquet and they rub it. And once again, the technician starts feeling the vein after cleaning the area. That means the zero effectiveness. His hands, if not gloved, even if you gloved also, if you don't change the glove, this has to change the concept of it. And also one point I want to tell you, you have to take in a, see, you on the forearm, I have no picture on this one, you just rub it up and down. That is a very, very useless thing, and you are making, moving the bacteria from down to up and up to down. You have to take a circle form where you have to take a circle from inside to outside. That means near to the vein, you have to take the, touch the, the alcohol, and then go out and then leave it. Then only the bacteria will go. Suppose if you are pushing up and down, it is of no use. Just an example. It is a rapidly changing science. It is mandatory to sterilize all instruments that penetrate. I told you the most important view of a sister in charge is all the operation instruments that are not intended to penetrate them, but they come into contact with the oral tissue. Suppose your tongue depressor, you are using on the body of a person. But what is most important of the tongue depressor is there after using that on one patient, you should not use it improperly on this one. So I just want to quote an example. When I asked the students, even the postgraduates, how to sterilize a thermometer, luckily we are having that monitored thermometers nowadays. You go to a hospital in any PHC or anything, they are keeping the mercury thermometer. Now the digital have come, or even digital also, unless it is put in the axilla, this one. See, they wish they are putting some Dettol or some Savalon solution. That is not at all correct. You have to put in the alcohol. That is very expensive. You have to wipe with the alcohol. Anyhow, luckily, if you would have used mercury thermometers today with unhygienic conditions, I think that COVID would become more spread more rapidly. Basic principles of cleaning. Start cleaning from cleaner areas to proceed towards dirtier areas. There's a lot of science of this thing. See, I have a program in this one. You can see how to, you go to a hospital, you enter into the hospital. One side you are taking a open OP ticket. Next side somebody is cleaning the floor. That is the most area where the bacteria, everything is walking. And you have to clean it everywhere. And I will be coming back to this one. And everyone knows that most of the hospitals, they use Lysol as a disinfectant. What I will just be mentioning a little later. Importance of 1% sodium hypochlorite or a phenolic disinfectant. And also one word about phenol. See, phenol, if they are going to take a bucket of water and put 10 spoonfuls of phenol, it is not at all useful at all. Only you get the smell, but you will not get the effectiveness. So that way, suppose if you ask me what is the best to clean on the floor, is there first clean with a detergent. Then there were some pictures also. You just put that one into that mop into the hot water, then clean it. Then you put sodium hypochlorite or something and all. See, I want to tell you, yet there is no compound like a bleach, or a soap, a common soap. Initial cleaning. After having completed all various phases of laying, there is one final operation, cleaning, appropriate cleaning that highlights the aesthetic qualities of the material. You see, this is the most tedious job in the hospital. And one of the great problem in the recent COVID time is that they are not getting the people to clean it and all these things. So they started spraying. It is very difficult to get the health clean workers, and the patient after patient is waiting. This is one of the things which became very difficult during the COVID time. Ordinary cleaning. Clean the floor with a clean lukewarm water, adding detergents such as lysoform or a soap even. See, I told that one, a Rin is available or some, a surf is available. if you are going to put a question to an undergraduate student is there, how you sterilize if there is a blood is soaked from a HIV patient on your apron, whether I discard this apron, there were so many questions. Nobody, just if in 72 degrees centigrade water, you put some bleach or a detergent powder, that is sufficient. It becomes perfectly free from this one. And also the COVID is less resistant to many of the chemicals, unlike bacteria. If you take one lucky thing about this one, whatever the good and bad practices we had with the COVID, the virus are easily destroyed with the most effective is a detergent or a soap or anything. What are the Lysol products? That is the very thing. You go to a hospital and ask that person, how are you cleaning the floor? Actually, people are wasting a lot of money just putting on Lysol. If you take one thing also, there were so many organized, if you are using the same compound for a long time, even that bacteria which are there on the floor can become resistant. There are some like a antibiotic holiday. There are some organizations are practicing, but we have become much this thing. And what is most is the Lysol powder we are diluting. And then suppose if your hospital is somebody has vomited or somebody has spilled their blood and all, best is this one. There was an example I must tell you in one of the MD examination that the MD student was given a culture of the cholera. While taking the culture, that student dropped on the floor. Then what the student did, called the sweeper. The examiners are watching, and the sweeper came and brought the mop and cleaned it. The examiners got annoyed. They said, no need of examining this candidate. This candidate do not know how to manage a spill. Because we think that something is spilled, that is the duty of the attendant. No. If it is HIV, you are going to put some bleach on it and then you put a little tissue paper on it. That is act for about 10 to 15 minutes, then it is free. Suppose if you are going to wipe it, suppose somebody vomits and all these things, first you have to contain that area from the spreading to other places. That is not taken. I am just telling only the important points and my experiences. Preparing one person should nowadays, we are, you see, this is all when we are students, we are being asked to how to dilute a sodium hypochlorite. And now everything comes with a percentage graded with a quality control with some standards. So whatever it is there, you have to use, I mean, even nobody is now using a bleaching powder, even though the Glaxo bottle of the sodium hypochlorite may be expensive, but still the people are investing on the money and nobody is using a crude bleaching powder. Suppose if you have seen, gone back to the history 40 years back or 50 years back, whenever a VIP is coming to a village or a town, on the roadside, they are spilling some bleaching powder. That is, see, it was an identity that we are sterile and we are keeping the campus very clean. That attitude is changing now. General methods, high contact surface, elevator, buttons, handrails, these are all things. Suppose you see when you are going to a shopping complex, there are some high contact surface are there, elevator buttons and the handles and the side support. Now everybody wants to, with suppose more or senior citizens are there. That means everybody is touching that one, that you have to take care of these ones. Suppose there were a lot of questions about the IT industry, printers, scanners, and all these things. Actually, if you take, you need not, suppose if you want to clean your laptop, you need not in a IT, you need not clean the screen, spoil the screen, but only the place where a person is touching on the keyboard is the only thing which you have to clean it. So there it becomes the optimization of your services. This is all, say one thing told about William Osler said, soap, water and common sense. So soap is plenty, water is available, and most difficult thing is a common sense. If suppose somebody uses a common sense and there's a little of this thing, the cost of the disinfectants can be reduced to the 50%. So soaps are the sodium or potassium salts or fatty acids, a natural product, detergents instead of artificial. Suppose I use a detergent or a soap, and all these detergents are much cheaper and more chemical related, and soaps are more natural in this way. Like what soap I use in routine life and healthcare? Please take it to me. Best is non-medicated soap in my view. And because now you see the market is flooded with the medical soaps. It is a WHO, everybody said there is no need of a medicated soap in many matters. What soap is better for COVID routine? What about antibacterial soap? What's so special about them? And are they better or worse? As it turns out, no benefit of using antibacterial soap in this case against COVID. Antibacterial soaps contain an additive, usually compound called as antibacterial. And now one thing is there that triclosan has been deleted from the list now. And this is now the triclosan is producing some side effects. Previously, if you take some of the soaps, they were containing triclosan, and even toothpaste contained triclosan. Now the FDA, however, has found in multiple studies that antibacterial soap is no more effective than normal soap. India's greatest marketing is mixing everything. They will put orange flavor, grape flavor. I can't understand. Somebody is not eating grape flavor is there in a soap, while somebody is not eating the soap. And only grape is useful when you taste it, not otherwise. So shall we use solid soap or a liquid soap? So there was a question whether the soap get infected, and they have done many studies. They may temporarily there, but nobody is this thing and all. But the soap, what becomes? It becomes, suppose 10 people are washing continuously, the soap becomes wet and it is not hygienically not good. But still, suppose if you are going to use in a personal clinic and all, there is a bottle soap, a liquid soap is a finer thing. What we should choose? Don't discriminate when choosing the soap as long as it is lathering up. Suppose somebody asks me which company soap is better. There is no company which is better and all these things. Suppose if it can produce a good froth, that is the best, that is taking away all the surface residing, it is killing the bacteria or virus or anything. Suppose if the good bubbling is not produced, so that means it is not at all having that effectiveness and all. So now the India's greatest marketing is that everybody says that this is a chemical and it is 90% effective, about 50% effective, 100% effective. There's nothing like these are all in the commercial aspects. I don't want to make a thing of things. What are the detergents in the laundry? The hospital most important point is the laundry is the most important. That person is there to get people in places like Kerala operating that huge washing machines is becoming very difficult when I was there and all these things. So they have to depend upon these things. Laundry is all the hospitals, soiled clothes from every angle. They have to go to the laundry, and there are some these compounds are alkaline benzene sulfonates. Actually, the missions, when they are selling, they are all giving the information how much to add and all these things. Suppose if this laundry is not safe, so what happens that the bacteria or fungi or whatever it recycles in the hospital, and non-arsenic, these are all well taken. Halogens, this is the most important compound in the whole of microbiology is chlorine. And halogens are the seventh column, and iodines, chlorines used as disinfectant, as a bleach, very well. And chlorine applied in the treatment of drinking water also. There is no place. Suppose somebody is taking a pickle that they are all exported and they remain for a long time. We think because of the salt. Please remember the radical of that chlorine in the common salt we use, it has got this one, and it is vice versa also. Iodine, it is when we are students, that if somebody comes with an injured tincture iodine they used to apply. Our professor used to tell, take some swab and put it and paste it there. The days are also changing now. Hypochlorites, they have broad spectrum of antimicrobial and unaffected by water hardness, are inexpensive and fast acting, and have low serious side effects. So you see, these hypochlorites are spread everywhere in the hospital. There is the scenario in all the hospital recently. Somebody is carrying a bag of this one, and it is you can't spray alcohol. It will dangerous and not affordable. We can't do such things for environment. There is nothing like a hypochlorites. Next, please. Hypochlorites are also the agents of choice in the surfaces, and everywhere it is. Hypochlorite can also eliminate the enveloped and non-enveloped viruses. There is no compound which is not used in any hospital without this one. This is the virus, this thing. And household bleach is typically diluted using 1 in 50 with water and disinfection. So suppose somebody asks you a quiz question in a post-graduation NEET examination, what is the most common thing which is used in the medical profession is the soap and the hypochlorites. Next comes even alcohols come only third place. These are all the priorities. So disadvantages are also there, include corrosiveness of the metals, high concentrations, inactivation by organic matter, bleaching of the fabrics. So it does not mean that if you have got an endoscope or a very good instrument with suppose with the lenses and all these things, so this what is the hypochlorites will spoil them. So there is no place for this hypochlorites when it comes to the very delicate instruments with these things, and they have got a corrosive this one. The life of the instruments will be reduced. So we have to find out some alternative advantages. Hypochlorite. So water is the most important thing. See, we do not know what water we drink it. Is it not? You just take it a water, and if you are traveling in a train, every day you are taking a treated water like a distillery or something. You travel once and you take a water in the railway station from a public tap. You said you get within a diarrhea with the enteropathogenic E. coli and all these things, because the chlorination is not well monitored, and there we really do not know. It is the community medicine people are the expert to say it. Usually chlorine has been one of the most, you cannot disinfect a water with any substance except chlorination. That is the cheapest everywhere, even in US also. They do the, in spite of lot of filtering and all, there cannot be, we cannot do anything without a chlorination. Staying alcohol, Dr. Rangareddy told, this is one of the picture from Madhya Pradesh I have taken from internet. The people are being taken there and they are walking through the internet in some other places in the South India, where there is a big non-vegetarian market. They're all been putting all the people who are going to meet, they're all exposing to the chlorine. And then what happened? The people started burning the eyes and skin allergy, and the people stopped going to the market to buy the fish and all these things. Then gradually the scientific organizations say, oh, this one, do not use it. Hydrogen peroxide, this is one of the things. One thing is there, if you, history has changed a lot. If you take about 40 to 50 years back, when somebody has come with a infected ulcer or a wound, we used to pour some hydrogen peroxide and we are very happy that some bubbles are coming and all these things. But what happened? Many wounds do not heal, that they are not using much. But this way, I mean, there is not much use now at this purpose. Phenol disinfectants are effective against bacteria, gram-positive. They are not effective in non-enveloped viruses. So phenol has no much effect in the recent COVID. Phenol is not a good at all for this virus, and it is only for the bacteria and some spores and all these things. This thing, I also told you, we are using in a very less dose. I mean, if you want really phenol to use in your house, and you must at least dilute it 1:10, not 100 or 1000 and all in a bucket. You put it just after some few minutes, nothing will be happening, and you are wasting whatever the 10 spoons you are using it. Next, phenolics. Phenol is probably the oldest known disinfectant. Phenolics are also active ingredients of household use. Phenolics are tuberculosis. It is rather corrosive to the skin and sometimes toxic to the skin. See, there are a lot of phenolics with this. This one, cresols are there, and carbolic acid. This was the phenol of the carbolic acid was the lister. We first used in the lister also. This one rarely used now. This thing and all. Next, please. Biphenol. There are so many compounds, but not gaining much importance now as a crude phenols. Phenolic disinfectants are effective against bacteria, especially gram-positive that I already told. Next. Phenol as a not effective. This is what is the, wherever you go, there is no shop without Dettol loaded. And chlorgenol is the principal ingredient in Dettol, a household disinfectant. And this is one of the derivative of this one. And the chlorgenol is this one, it is only 100% botanical disinfectant, broad spectrum. There was a lot of things Now, I do not want to speak about anything about a commercial, this one, because if you want to take a bath because your son is there, a small child is there, there is no need to use a Dettol soap or some Savlon soap or anything, because you are trying to give the very useful every day. If you wash your hands also with these chemical soaps, your hand will be losing the lot of capacity to fight back, because naturally the hand is most distinct. You are going to kill lot of normal flora unnecessarily. Only you should get eliminated of the disinfection. That means if you are washing the hand, only remove the infective agents. Non-infective agents you can be casual. Iodine and iodophore disinfectants. This is the most important. Previously, you take back about some time back when the operation site, they are using on the skin, iodine, crude iodine and alcohol added iodine, and all you are wiping. And then now the betadine has become the standard product, except in the people, this thing. It is, these compounds are bactericidal, virucidal and fungicidal. Sorry, that is this thing. And the most important thing is their betadine has become the most important compound in the world for all the skin. And you find no shop, even in a village, you find betadine as a disinfectant. Chlorhexidine gluconate. This chlorhexidine gluconate is the gluconate sort of the chlorhexidine, a biguanide compound. And it is one of the common soaps. That Savlon is one of the things. Previously, Savlon is having some triclosan and all. Now they have eliminated, and now the chlorhexidine has become the most important compound, and many people are now using these hand rubs and all. Chlorhexidine, next please. Hydrogen peroxide, I told you. Next please. See, aldehydes. I still take it to this one. And aldehydes include all the Western countries. Now they say, according to EPA, they are not accepting. Include some of the most effective antimicrobial inactivated proteins. Formaldehyde, excellent disinfectant, 2% aqueous solution, commonly used as a formalin. Formalin is used extensively to preserve biological specimens. You go to an anatomy lab or a museum, anatomy lab, you find that the smell of the formalin. You cannot preserve a dead body other than this formaldehyde. It is inevitable somewhere or anything, whatever it is there. Suppose even the best hospitals in the country, when they build I will be talking after some time about the operation theaters. First, when they reconstruct or any cases of this one, formaldehyde is become this one. Next. Aldehydes, such as the glutaraldehyde, have a wide microbial activity. They are partly inactivated by organic matter and all. Suppose if you take glutaraldehyde, Sidex, we are using, instruments have been there. And usually it becomes less effective after less than 2 weeks. They say it may up to 3 weeks, but we are using beyond sometimes. Then what happens? You are going to use the same solution for a very long time. The effectiveness of is there and all these things. Still, glutaraldehyde many people are using because it is not coming in contact with this one. Maybe little smell is there. It is going to stay in India for the time to come, because modern methods of sterilization are very difficult to see. Suppose if you want to buy ethylene oxide machine, it costs about 5 to 6 lakhs. How can they invest when they are having 20 to 30 beds? And I fully take Dr. Rangareddy told, it is the circumstances where you work and all, it is very important. But even though there is a lot of negligence on changing the glutaraldehyde solution, once you add that compound, another compound powder is there, it will be losing its value. Aldehydes, denatured proteins, glutaraldehyde, both disinfect, short exposure and sterilizes. And please remember, and this is a very important, when somebody is using Sidex or aldehyde. See, for a common bacteria like Staphylococci or a gram-negative bacteria, they may be killed very fast. But as far as a tuberculosis bacteria are there, suppose you have done some procedure on a tuberculosis patient, then or some scope you have used and all, you cannot take a short time, you have to take a longer time. That all, it contains a lot of information about the nature of the bacteria and all these things. Formaldehyde is the less expensive and much longer shelf life. If some methanol is added to inhibit the polymerization to paraformaldehyde, but is more volatile. Suppose you can add a methanol, formaldehyde is also usually the gasless sterilizing agent. That is what is the fumigation. You are going to add to the water and you are going to boil it. It forms a paraformaldehyde. There were a lot of criticisms in the developing countries. They are using the formaldehyde, but they say it is proved to be a carcinogenic in the law. This thing, we have to need a higher study. The people worked in the service with the formaldehyde, operation theater sisters, retiring after 40 years using the formaldehyde. We need lot of surveys to do it. How many people have developed a respiratory malignancy and all? We don't have a good data on that one. Unless the things change to a very, very, very modern world, it is very difficult to eliminate a formaldehyde. And also the hygienic matters of it. I always this thing, people walk into the operation theater with the bare legs. I mean, they walk on the road and they carry spores and they soil the floor, and because there is no need to wash the legs when you are this thing, you change the chapel. That means still, if you are walking on the road and carrying, there is an open defecation by the animals and men. Also, that one they are carrying the spores. So you have to have a good measure and all these things about cleaning and all. That is up to the people who are practicing. Neither I am encouraging or discouraging, but is the circumstances which make us to accept, which is banned in the West. West is not East and East is not West, because we have to optimize money in running the system in many ways. Iodine, these are the compounds. The simple iodine, tincture iodine is been next, please. Betadine, it is that destroys organs like next, please. See, alcohol refers to the two water-soluble chemicals, ethyl alcohol and isopropyl alcohol. These alcohols are rapidly bactericidal rather than bacteriostatic against it, vegetative forms, gram-positive, gram-negative. They are also tuberculocidal, fungicidal, virucidal. So it means alcohols proving to be the best by the Western. Suppose you go to the Americans, prefer alcohol. Suppose if you are searching the net before the COVID, if you put alcohol, you are getting some Scotch whiskey. Now, if you put alcohol into the internet, you are getting isopropyl alcohol. That means the people searching for the isopropyl alcohol has become much more in the last 2 years. And now this is one of the things, at least I can say 20% of the sales in the market, somebody says alcohol-based antiseptics. Isopropyl alcohol, powerful disinfectant and mode of action, denatures proteins, dissolves the lipids, effectively kills the bacteria. I just want to tell you, we put with a very broad, big 70%. This is a very important. See, now there are so many subsidiary industries are starting this, repacking the alcohol, and we do not know how much it contains, because there is no valuable person who is checking these people. So this is a rubbing alcohol. If you have 70%, if you have got 30%, your effectiveness of is reduced by 20%. There is no use at all in these things. And also, you please take it, alcohol washing is not a substitution for hand washing. There is no doubt about it. If you look into the US literature, the most propagated chemical in the US is isopropyl alcohol. Somehow they are very fond of it because they may be having and all these things. There is no quality check in India by most of the things. Suppose even if you are not washing hand, you are using, you are just take about 2 to 3 ml of alcohol into the hand. You think about how many areas of the hand they are all been sterilized. Next, please. Gaining importance of hand washing with alcohol. 60 recently been gained wide acceptance. Suppose you can also, people can prepare at their own. In US and all these things, some people who are having that, they are very intolerant to some oxygen. They say, okay, you reduce it. You can make your own alcohol system. I mean, this is all coming. Even YouTube is also propagating how you make your own after this COVID. They are making so many YouTubes that you can make your own chemicals at your own house. You need not run to a shop because the economy has become so difficult. Next. Gaseous agents, ethylene oxide, propylene oxide, beta propylene, all this thing, denatured proteins. This is a very costly mission. It costs about 6 to this thing. Previously, what is happening is the hydrogen, this ethylene oxide is there. See, we are, suppose sometimes I worked in Tirupati. What happened is there that we had a low cost mission in 90s. Then this gas also spills outside and the people will develop hypersensitivity reaction, and we are not finding technicians to run it because you employ one technician, he develops a hypersensitivity with the low cost mission. So you must have a total, suppose somebody says, I give you the mission for 1 lakh, certainly please take it from this one. You may get for a cheaper one, but you will not be getting employee to handle it. And this is one of the hypersensitivity reactions are very, I am not going into the detail of ethylene oxide. The following saved many lives. I am coming within 10 minutes. I'll finish it up. See, if you take this one, only 3 things which saved many, even to millions and millions: social distancing and a mask and a hand washing. If you ask me which saved the world from COVID, I say it is not a meropenem or an antibiotic or ivermectin, but I just vote for only these things: social distancing. And also there are a lot of theories that the Delta virus is going more and more and more and all. So I also put the hand, if you are going to wash your hands with all these things, just imagine the most difficult problem in the healthcare workers. There are places where there is no, healthcare workers, no time to wash hands. Structure of the coronavirus, this is a very important thing. You see, suppose any students to be trained, you should know where the antiseptic acts. Next, spread of COVID, the principal mode by which the people are infected with SARS is through the exposure to respiratory droplet carrying infectious virus. It is possible for this thing, but the risk generally considered to be too low. The objects we use and all infected through the contact with the contaminated surfaces. It stands all these lifeless objects. Suppose a patient is having a mobile that is a COVID patient, and his relative comes and takes, or a relative comes and takes his phone. You need not use a high-end, this one, you just cleaning is sufficient. But only thing is there, I told you only the 3 principles which is thing. And also we failed in these 3 things which I told you in the previously: social distancing, hand washing, and a mask. I think who are a little more careful, they are less infected. And there are so many theories why somebody gets infected, somebody dies, yet nobody knows. Whatever theories we have today, tomorrow it is outdated. Next. So surface, however, it is not clear what proportion of infections are acquired through the surface transmission and fomites. This is one of the WHO's picture. These are all been thinking, but not necessarily. And what is touching just will not cause these objects at all. Next, please. Fomites can transmit. Infections can often be attributed to multiple transmission pathways. A part because of the symptomatic people cannot be ruled out. See, what is important is there. Who is a COVID patient, who is not a COVID infected is very difficult. See, infection is that you got a COVID but not surfaced with the disease. But that's why now all the things we have to be very careful with. Good suggestions: hand washing, provided you are this one, and also avoid touching and all these things. See, if you don't, if you wash your hands, your chance of getting infected becomes 50%. If you just prevent this one, another 30%. Suppose if you don't use everything, hospital workers, they're all, if you take to the hepatitis B and all, orthopedic surgeons are wearing the glasses so that when they are drilling, these particles can go in microparticles into the eye and get infected. This is a, see, if you ask me what we know about the COVID is very least. We do not know how it is going to behave in the future. COVID infections and role of disinfection, outbreak of this thing has led to the broad chemical disinfection. Sterilize the public places. A recent study has shown that COVID virus can survive on infected up to 9 days and it remains infective, which is spread among the public. This is the new theory. See, 2020, there was no much, 2019, objects are not important. They are telling some studies now, they are coming out results. They can stay on that one. But how much infective dose we need to get touch and all these things is yet to be clear. Chemicals impacts. The coronavirus pandemic led to major changes in the homes, business, including chemicals. And the world, I told you, the biggest sales in the world after food is the chemicals, which has been, the market is stormed with the business of this one. People became billionaires when they could make it good quality of this. Best suggestions. Thus, in order to minimize the chance of infection, public health agency has encouraged recommendation that individuals maintain high levels of personal hygiene by frequently washing their hands with soap. The minimum of 20 seconds or by using disinfectant that can be deactivate, kill the virus, eliminate. See, one thing is there, I can tell you, if you are going to wash your hands with the 20 seconds with the soap and water, you are much assured than the best alcohol. And people may ask me a question, why not I use 100%? 100% alcohol is not effective. It is only effective when it is 70%. Even it is a multiple choice question. Even some postgraduates also they say, why if it is effective so much, 70%, why not I use some arrogant question? But it is the scientific basis. So of all the things, which is most important is there say 8 steps of hand washing. You just wash hands for somebody's sake, or you are going to wash for your sake, or for your family's sake. What is most important is there. This is all the real steps. Hand is the most complex organ in the hand. I mean, it's a body where there are small areas in between the digits. They do not get disinfected. Spraying alcohol, I told you. Next, chemical disinfection and their effectiveness in the world. So ethanol, isopropyl alcohol, and all these things I already told. I want to tell a very important clarity because there may be so many doctors. In SWIMS in 1993, we have purchased about, department has purchased 10 lakhs worth of Coral Jesus lenses. So we asked somebody, because there are so many cheap things are available in the country for cleaning the lens. Some of you may be having a very good quality of microscope. If you want to really, not for disinfecting, and ethanol is the most important compound to clean the high cost lenses, which the doctor should use, maybe pathologists may be listening, and not for disinfection, but protecting the lens. Ethanol is such a pure compound. Suppose if you take, because in many hospitals we use methanol for cleaning the lenses of the camera. Methanol contains a lot of impurities. The cost of the ethanol is 5 times more. So if you want to be just improve your this one, isopropyl alcohol has become the landmark alcohol in improving the infection, controlling the infection. So this is how the virus is destroyed. So whatever you use it, suppose you can prove that it has got a structure of glycoproteins. If you are going this one, it damages the denatured proteins on this one. Then the virus is inside the structure of the genome is damaged. This is the purpose we use. Whatever you use a soap or anything. One suppose some enveloped virus is there. If you are using a small detergent or a rinse soap or a surf, you just touch it. All the cell wall is gone, envelope is gone. Once the envelope is gone, that cell ruptures, that viral cell, and also it is non-infected. How do we deliver the sterile products? This is a very important. The delivery of the sterile product for use in patient care depends not only on the effectiveness of the sterilization process, assembling and packaging and all these things. This is a cycle of doing the things. Suppose these are all being technicians are well trained. You make some instruments and you have to transport to the site. Lot of difficulties that I am not buying. Next, what is the wrong with our practices? Disinfectants used indiscriminately, used unnecessarily, not used when needed. Concentration not adequate, economic consideration, business promotions, laboratory testing with hospital conditions. I really agree, Dr. Rangareddy, with his practical knowledge has touched one thing. See what the laboratory is. Suppose if you go to a EPA, you cannot run in the American Environmental Protection, this thing. You cannot run in an Indian hospital except some coronary, the corporate hospitals, where they are finding very difficult. So what is most important is there that priorities, the person who is running the system of disinfection in the hospital and all, there are so many qualified people are this thing. What is most infective? Which are the people are getting more infected? How this is not been this one? And this is all, suppose if you take to me in this condition, pediatric patients, there was a lot of outbreaks in pediatric units in the neonatology, this thing, because the child with a diarrhea excretes the motion in that cradle, in that NICU. What happens is there ultimately this, that beddings, that rolls, that whatever the linen they are using, they are not properly sterilized and not bleached. That is one of the, and also nobody will care that incubator where the children are put. That is the cause of, suppose you find lot of people dying in a unit and at a stage that 30 to 40 people died in a NICU. That means it is a total failure of the sterilization and disinfection in that area. Whatever you use antibiotics, you cannot bring any accountability. Suppose you see somebody has given a sprayer, he is pushing, he imagines that hundreds and thousands of bacteria are there, let me put it. And I want to clarify, one thing is there, walls and all these things, there are not, because see, there was a one person told, Alif, there is 1993, he has written a book, is one of the world's authority. Don't worry about non-contact person. Suppose if you are going to do a cardiac surgery, you have to take care of the instruments or your apparatus and all these things. You suppose tomorrow you're doing a cardiac surgery and all, you are spending a lot of time on the floor because the patient's operation area does not come with the touch the floor nor the wall. Just as an example, where the money is wasted so much. Suppose the roof is there, we don't use any chemicals. Why to disturb a roof? Because nobody is using fans for circulation. If you are going to roof that and all the spores which are accumulated, they fall. Next, environment measures. These are all the things now that there are so much of education and this thing. Suppose now everything is accountable now. Suppose a person is lying in the bed and what are the priorities you have to take? How much a patient is in direct contact? You have to give items touched during the patient care and shared equipment. So first priority is around the patient. Next is second is items touched during the patient care. And this is applies to the doctor. And these are all the equipment which that says this one. So now this is one of the economics which are going on now. How much you spend, everything is accountable in this thing. How much you spend on the patient, how much you spend on the environment is also accountable in US now. Environment measures. Cleaning and disinfection of all patient care is important for frequently touched surface. It's a very important word. Where the frequently touched surfaces means by the doctor, by the nurses and all. That means that is the greatest. They are most likely to the bed rails, bedside tables, commodes, doorknobs, sinks, surfaces. You take these are all some 6 things are there. They are the great priority. So the patient goes to a toilet, then sinks are very important. Doorknobs. Previously, you must have seen a lot of Shigella infections. They come from the doorknobs also. There is they made to put in the toilet, one should have a hand washing basin. Suppose somebody doesn't have a wash basin, people do not wash their hand and they come out and that knobs they will touch it and it will be infected to the next patient. What is the disinfection for cleaning? This is very important and all. There are so many things are coming and all. These are all the hospital people. But the only thing is they must be used in the right direction. The amount of contact dilution time. I just want to tell you, I have some experience with the Virkon continues with the safe compound. This is a little costly German product. DuPont is doing it and all. It's a strong detergent disinfectant action. Suppose if you want to get back to the line with all the priorities, Virkon is one of the strong detergent and disinfectant action, inhibits all known virus and all these things. So many of the corporate hospitals, instead of going into many other compounds like bacillus and all these things. Suppose, say one thing is that suppose if you are posting some 5 to 6 operations and all these things, so you cannot go for other methods of this thing. So many compounds may be emerging. I doesn't have any working experience. So I told you I will be sharing only few words. When cleaning, Virkon is used when cleaning the medical and care institution for cleaning disinfection of the medical equipment. It works wonderfully. Laparoscopy, endoscopy, these are all to disinfect all surface premises public health for infection and decontamination also this one. Even they are using in the veterinary science, blood transfusion, this thing. Now suppose if you are running a unit with the cell separation unit in the blood banks and all these things, now that has become a very this thing, and all we have to follow very high standards of it, and all we cannot use aldehydes or formaldehyde. Many are now going for this Vircon. What next? Many new technologies, gas plasma, green chemical concept. This the last one is very difficult. And if you take gas plasma, I used it to Jubilee Mission Medical College. This should be purchased in very early in 2004. One of the institution, I think the people who are organizing this one, they know very well. There's a gas plasma mission because there's a lot of turnover. Yearly, they are doing about 20, 30 endoscopes. But one thing is very expensive. Even the quality control element which to test whether it is doing and all costs about 1,000 rupees. You can just imagine it adds to the cost. And the most difficult thing is green chemical concept. I don't know, everybody talks about green and all these things, but how to go on and with the economy which is very much strained. And these are the references, and I request all the people to download the guidelines for disinfection and sterilization in the healthcare facilities, 2008, updated May 29. This is the world best reference for anybody. Why I am telling, even if there is it has been described about the biofilms, there are so many things, anything which has been floating with the moisture and all can produce, because sterilization and disinfection is the most difficult topic and where it acts, because we are doing many things blindly and spending more. We are creating infection. I just want this thing. I just want to tell you before I finish, I want to tell you one thing is very important is, see, dressing room is more important than an operation theater, because everyone takes care of about an operation theater. And we have made a survey. Most of the cases which get infected after the knee joint surgeries or anything, because of the bad dressing room. Suppose if you want to really improve your hospital, take care of your dressing room. A surgeon does the operation, doesn't, after 1 week, you will lose the contact. They are left to a dressing room. You can just imagine tomorrow you visit some dressing rooms, how pathetic condition. I've seen in Kerala, very young people, 40 years, involved in the road traffic accident and done surgery, nailing in the femur. They lost limbs because of the bad circumstances in the dressing room. So I just want to convey message. Above all, our human behavior is more important than chemical. Anything will work. They will just definitely honest. Suppose if you are washing with isopropyl alcohol is the most competent. And if you are using for 20 seconds, you are the best. And the result is the 100% success. Thank you all for your great patience. I had made some few slides double, that please excuse me, because life is an improvement. I find at 72 years, I need more improvement than many young people, because now I am worried. I have not learned many things. Thank you.
Professor Rao, as usual, it was a wonderful talk, very enlightening, and you make it sound so simple that we all start believing that probably all these disinfection processes and sterilization practices so easy. So it's a really wonderful talk. I think you have summarized everything from basics to the state of the art kind of products and practices which are supposed to be there in our healthcare institutions. To summarize some of the key takeaways, as far as I am concerned, one is William Wosler's quotation, what you very often mention in your talk, that soap and water and common sense are, the best disinfectants. Although these words were said almost like in the 18th century, even today, they are very relevant words. I think repeating those words, and you have really given the direction for all of us in terms of how to balance the technology with the common sense. I think that's a very good takeaway, sir. Um, Although the cleaning and disinfection sounds very simple, but you have really given the deep insights in terms of how the technologies work, and how complex the theories can be, how scientific uh, things can really make their utilization more optimally. I think that's a very important takeaway again. Despite of all the talk and also hype which is created around disinfectants and antiseptics, unfortunately, even today, the hand hygiene practices in the healthcare segment are um, not really very optimal, especially in low resource settings like India. I think that is again you have given a very insightful thought that you don't need always big technologies in order to improve your practices, but making it very simple, making soap and water available, make alcohol hand rubs available at right places, so that we can improve the hand hygiene practices, which is almost like 80% of your infection prevention strategies. That's a very insightful thing. Um, some years back, I read an article by our friends from Switzerland, Alexandra and Didier Pitet. Wrote a very interesting article with a very interesting title, Keeping Hospitals Clean and Safe Without Breaking the Bank. I think Dr. Rao has made a beautiful point there, that we don't need to really break the bank in order to opt for the technologies or products which are supposed to be used in order to improve infection prevention and control practices. It is especially for our kind of settings, it is very, very important for all of us to remember and also to kind of implement the frugal practices, simple practices which are going to bring a lot of change within our institutions. um, I think he has touched upon the things like creating awareness, the dialogue among the teams, challenging the dogma. That's very, very important. Most of the times we look at the Western world, like EPA and all that stuff, or somewhere else some practice being taken, and we very blindly follow. Or another extreme, for example, the whole world has shunned uh, products like formaldehyde or formalin to be fumigated, but still even today, as Dr. Rao has mentioned, 80% of the institutions still fumigate their operation theaters with very unsafe products like formaldehyde. Um, and definitely going ahead, probably we had to shape the research agenda in the field of hospital hygiene and environmental cleaning, so that we can identify those practices and products which are apt for our kind of settings. It is very, very important. Having cut and paste, or taking something from a very different setting is not going to work, and we definitely need to be mindful about it. Definitely, we had to integrate current and new technologies with human elements that most work together synergistically to achieve optimal results. I think he has mentioned about some of the latest technologies like plasma, gas plasma, the green products, etc., etc. Definitely, wherever there is a need, we need to
Yes, sir.
get them into our practices. Definitely, we had to get them into our protocols, but at the same time, we had to be always mindful about what is optimal optimal, and optimal. These are the words which need to be kept in mind. Thank you very much, Professor Rao, for such a wonderful, insightful talk. There are, as usual, as expected, there are so many questions, which have come to you. I will try and actually take some of the questions, read out for you, so that you can clarify those questions. Is it okay, Professor Rao? Can I
Okay,
start?
sir. Okay. I will answer, and if I cannot take and give a good answer, you have to give the answer.
Sure, sir. I will try. If you cannot, I don't think I will be able to.
As a chairperson, as a chairperson, it is your responsibility if I cannot answer.
Thank you, sir. There are first question probably since we are in pandemic times, probably it is more appropriate to take a question which is related to that. Dr. Deepthi Dhanwate is asking, does COVID-19 has changed the process of cleaning or time of exposure to disinfectants?
No, I already told that there was actually the awareness and scientific thinking was very less before COVID. Definitely with the mass education in the media, and because one thing, our Ministry of Health has circulated so many things to everyone. We should appreciate our good efforts of the Indian conditions, because they translated the good things from the WHO and made available to everyone in India in a very simple format. And I came to know some of the friends in UP and all, that one of the person worked with me in Kerala, he is now one of the officer in UP. And what are all the best material and all, they are transmitted through the mobiles by small messages, and also the WhatsApp and all these things. And not only that one, what they shared about the things is through the WhatsApp. Not only the patient, all the relatives have been, what care they have to take also. This is how the best use of these ones. And also about cleaning the things, there is a lot of change, sir. I just want to tell one example about it and all. In Kerala, there was a very big unit of about burns unit. And there are nearly about 70 to 80 patients are there always in the burns. Suddenly, the management has decided to air condition that burns unit. And after air conditioning, that there are about 10 people died with the Pseudomonas infection. So they called an expert from Maharashtra, one of the big hospitals they are doing, to inspect what is happened. He told they put some air conditioners fixed in this corner and that without any ventilation, HEPA filter or anything. So what is happening? One patient infected with the Pseudomonas infected many people. It became, he told, just to follow the old method, every epidemic will disappear from this. And also, second example, I want to tell you, that way, the people in Kerala, there are many nurses, they go to Gulf and all these things. One doctor studied a point. When somebody is come to the hospital with delivery, they are going to insert a urinary catheter as the patient is in the bed for the next 24 hours or 12 hours. So they found out some nurses, when they are doing catheterization, the infection rate is very high, some very less. So that I made lot of programs on their request, how to choose a catheter, how to clean the area. Suppose in a hurry, you are urinary catheter you are putting, you are using a gloves, you are using a double glove, and you are doing everything, but you are not knowing the correct procedure. It depends upon the medical profession. You see, I never think that alcohol will fail. You agree with me? This is a very wonderful word. Somebody told, from Shakespeare to anyone today, that there is nothing, humans may fail, but alcohol will never fail to make the people elated. You see, there is no joy more than alcohol, because alcohol is always working, your cleaning is very working. Why? If you are going to traumatize that area, you are going to insert the infection. And they made how many days a patient stayed in the hospital after catheterization by a particular nurse. Then they counseled and they do it. It is not that entirely disinfection is a part of our dedication to the work. There is, this is what I feel. Yes, sir. Next question, sir.
Thank you, Professor. Just adding to that, to Dr. Dipti's question, COVID essentially does not change either the process of cleaning or the time of exposure to disinfectant. As Dr. Rao has very rightly mentioned, we became more aware of these protocols. We became more aware of what kind of products to be used. I think going ahead, I think we will be able to better appreciate
Yes, sir.
whenever there is a healthcare emergency, how do we ramp up our cleaning and disinfection practices. I think that is what is one key learning from our current pandemic. Next question is from Dr. Shushita. She is asking, ideal fumigation agent in government hospital. What is it?
No, ideal fumigation
Agent.
in government hospital.
Yes.
Sir, I just want to tell you, I never worked in a government hospital because I just in a government only thing is that I just want to tell one thing. The main problem with the fumigation, we have not practicing, because when you want to fumigate, we have to take 500 ml of the formaldehyde for 1000 milliliters of water. Then you have to heat it. Then it becomes. And another thing is there, what has happened in most public institutions, they're all old constructions, and you have to seal all the doors to not that gas which you have created will not leak. What happens is that the people walking outside the operation theater are fumigated more than the things in the hospital. I think it's not humor, but it is a reality that people, if you are going to fumigate in any good old hospital, people will not be going to the operation theater because their eyes will be burning and they will look like crying after 10 minutes visiting. But the micro, and also 24 hours you have to keep the contact time with this one. Nobody will do it. Within 6 hours, if you go there, there is no paraformaldehyde there. And also human element, we are not going to decontaminate it. For every 1000 ml of formalin you use, you have to use ammonium chloride 500 ml, because we are taking the first care of the bacteria, but we are not taking care of the human being. We are working in this one. These are all my frank comments about it.
Thank you, Doctor. Since time is very less, maybe we can take with more precise answers, Doctor. How disinfectant sprays available in the market? How long effective once you spray them on surfaces? Dr. V. Chandrasekhar is asking this question.
Sir, that depends upon, suppose if you are, what happens is there, if you are going to do a spraying, it has goes into the wide area. The contact time is very less. It may look sophisticated. If you are going to spray something, it looks very sophisticated that you have sprayed into all these things. Suppose if you are going to spray, how much it is going, because any particle, it depends upon that. Most of the particles will fall down and it will not reach to the area of the contact. These are all mere sophistications are coming. I don't have any much good ideas about it.
I think just to add to what Dr. Rao said, there are three things we always need to remember. There are so-called golden 3 C's. The contact time, the
concentration.
Yes, the concentration, and also the compatibility. These are the three things we always need to keep in mind, especially when we are talking about environmental disinfection or surface disinfection. I'll take next question, Doctor. How long does COVID virus survive on inanimate objects and surfaces? There are 2-3 more questions, which are in the same fashion. Maybe you can answer all of them at one go. And the other question, which is slightly related to that, is inanimate objects. I think there are 2-3 questions in the same way, sir. Maybe you can touch upon that point, please.
See, if you go into the 2020 literature, nobody said about contact with the objects and all. And after literature, in the later literature, they said that it is 9 days, it stays. But the dose of virus which we get are very limited. It does not mean that with 10 virus we don't get in. It is only relative things and all. Suppose you're keeping a phone and taking for something, how much, unless, see, that's why they told, if you are touching something which is there, you wash your hands and don't keep in your eyes before washing. That eliminates the element. And I don't think anybody has got a very valued peer-reviewed paper on the inanimate objects and all. Because see, if it would have been the same thing, there would most of the people would have died by now. I don't think anybody, any medical person would have survived if inanimate objects are there. Only human objects are dangerous, that I think, than inanimate objects.
We'll take last two questions, Professor. One is from Dr. Saurav Maiti. He is asking, due to pandemic situation, healthcare workers are using hand rubs over the gloves. What is your view on this?
Over the gloves?
Yes, sir.
Certainly, it is not advisable. What happens that gloves are mainly of the latex. So what happens is there, if you are going to put alcohol on that one, it will definitely produce some toxic compound, and it may also produce minor pores into that one. Some damage may be there, which you are not going to see about it. See, this is what happens. This is the new, I am thinking, Saurav Maiti is always my good friend, and he may be this thing, because you may see, I do not know, it is better to change gloves or then use a gloves which is made of something which is very cheaper, even 1 rupee. Also there are disposable one for contact precautions and all they are using. But anything and all, we have no study, because what toxic compound is formed when you are going to do it, how much your hands are affected. These are all the things which the dermatologist may face it tomorrow if we are going to put. Suppose any alcohol on anything except that inanimate object certainly causes. I request Dr. Saurav Mathi put some gloves in alcohol and see what happens after 12 hours. Then he is the best person to write a paper, sir.
Thank you, Professor Rao. One last question probably we will take. It is related to ultraviolet rays sterilization. How beneficial is it for room sterilization? This is a question from Dr. Om Prakash Agarwal.
Okay, it was a thought-provoking idea. Suppose when you are going to, suppose you see, this is not at all a new or anything. You go to a sweet mart, all the sweets are kept below the UV light. That means to avoid some insects and all these things. But to see, UV light is a natural thing in the nature. You take surface water in a river, is sterilized by the UV rays from the sun. Sun is also a good creator of disinfection. That means this. And suppose what happens is there, we are using in microbiology in the cabinets that about UV light and all. UV light totally cannot do it. And also they must not use UV light. And also I want to tell, because I cannot say, I do not have any first-hand information. I tell you one medical example. See, the people are using fluorescent microscope, because for all the things, good research institutions. See, the ultraviolet light which is generated to the eye, that person, it will produce cataract. And in the UK, the person who is working with the UV microscope, that fluorescent microscope, they are changed after 3 months from the same post to another post, because otherwise so many people lost the eye. So you cannot be 100% guaranteed of any sterilization. Otherwise, see, if UV light is effective, there is no need of autoclave. You can just put everything into the things and all. So many things have come, these cold sterilizations and so many things have come. Most of the things are in cold storage, sir. Most of the cold ideas are in cold storage even today also, like that one.
Thank you, Professor Rao. It is
wonderful.
Thank you very much. And it was my privilege actually to share the dais with you. And thank you for very patiently answering so many questions and so many doubts from so many friends from all over India. And thank you all, the participants and We hope we will have more sessions on these topics, which look simple, but which are definitely need to be dwelled upon, and where we can actually all of us find right solutions to ensure our patients are going to be safer and our healthcare system is going to be even safer. Thank you very much and have a nice weekend. We'll catch up again very soon with another session.
Thank
Shobit,
you. I want to thank all the people, Shobit and all. I want to tell you, I don't think, see, we are loaded with the confusion and controversies with the COVID. One thing is whatever you say yesterday, it is outdated. Tomorrow, there is something. But what is not become outdated is mask, hand washing, and at the end, social distancing. These are the only things, even I am thinking, even they stay the same thing tomorrow also, because everywhere there are great fights with this thing for wearing. But one thing is very difficult is the most, changing the human behavior is the most difficult. Yes. That is, you can buy 1 million worth of some sterilizer to your hospital, but the people have assumed. I just want to tell you about a mask, because nobody knows about the real use of a mask of a surgeon. And recently there was a paper published from Mangalore that we don't need an apron for the hospital. Just you throw the apron and come in casually and all these things. That is another opinion. He has done a study how that is. One thing is there are some surgeons behave as if they are the kings of something, and they think not wearing a mask improves his status like that. But see, I worked with one, I think many people coming from Kerala, Tirsun, I worked with Dr. Adenwala. He's the one of the man funded by the Bill Gates Smile Train. He has done many operations on the cleft palate. He is from Siddhi in Maharashtra, settled in Jubilee Mission Medical College. He told, when I went to take the samples from his room for the operation theater, he told one thing. This is a message to all the young friends. Dr. Rao, I don't need your fumigations, your surveillance and all. As long as I know my surgery, I concentrate on surgery and I do the useful surgery, and my nurse listens to me, there is no need of any measures of you. You just go, and I have done thousands and thousands. I am in the Guinness book, he told me.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Rao. We'll be in touch. Yeah.